Hamlet asked whether 'tis nobler in the mind to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune. Shakespeare left that question open, and your task with this proposed amendment is far graver, because you must answer the question, senators. And I state that as an individual who's been a quadriplegic for 40 years, and I've practiced law for 25 of those years. It is my opinion that the proposed legislation will limit the right to life rather than protect it. It is divorced from the well-researched social context that is the reality of disability. It sets arbitrary dates for the adjustment to a disability, presupposes that to be disabled is to suffer intolerably, and does not link doctor-assisted suicide to the imminence of death. It's flawed and is built upon a prejudicial and faulty premise. As the UN committee just last Monday, January 25th, noted with alarm, disability should never be a ground or justification to end someone's life directly or indirectly. This, for you senators, must be the guidepost on whether or not to amend this legislation. I ask that you don't, but if amend you must, please keep in the reasonable foreseeability of death before there is made to be allowed. The United Nations senators, we would submit, has found Bill C-7 to be irretrievably lost. For several weeks after my accident, I lay in bed close to death more times than I care to imagine. And whilst faced with that impending reality that I would not move my body the way I had just a little while ago, I found, quite paradoxically, a zest.
Are you getting a noise in the background, or is it just me? Oh, sorry.
Okay, sorry, Madam Chair, is there still a background noise?
No, it's okay, Mr. Shannon, continue. We were looking after it. Sorry about that. I apologize.
Okay, yes, and I was saying that what I found immediately after my accident, that I had lost my sense of liberty, my mobility, and I knew that I would not be able to move the same again. I had lost autonomy, and just like so many people facing the prospects of MAID, I instead found that I wanted to embrace life. I found that I wanted to find the rigors and joys of life, but I also had profound love, and I had profound supports in my life. I do know that several of my spinal cord injured peers did not have the same supports in their life. I know that since the criminal code was amended just a few years ago, some of my disabled peers, my spinal cord injured peers, have chosen MAID. Their dreams were deferred by the steely tip of a lethal injection rather than embraced by and within the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune that brings forth a brighter day. Their central point of suffering arose from failed social supports, not the invocation of disability or a disabling condition. That failure is squarely in the hands of government. Therefore, I would submit to you that the wrong question is being contemplated. We should not introduce the subjective elements of what is it to suffer intolerably, but instead there must be an objective assessment of whether or not the person with a disability has enough supports in place in order to meet in order to live an independent lifestyle. I dare anyone, senators, to go to suggest MAID to any other equality seeking group in Canada and not expect cries of outrage and bigotry. And as the experts committee also indicated last Monday, we all accept that it could never be a well-reasoned decision for a person belonging to any other protected group, be it a racial minority, gender, or sexual minority, to end their life because they experience suffering on account of their status. We, we, the people, the Canadians with disabilities, we change our physique, but we do not suffer. We as a community do not go gently into that good night. We simply move across the Earth's crust in a different way. Give us the tools to do so. In addition to the inherent bias imbued in the proposed legislation, implying or presupposing that to be disabled is to suffer unbearably, the other great offense created by removing the reasonably foreseeable death clause is that it is empirically wrong. There are not concerns to trigger the life rights of individuals because the current regime has made access to physician-assisted suicide much easier, and it increases every year. By radically loosening the safeguards as is proposed, it opens the door to abuse of those safeguards and implicitly promotes rather than permits MAID. It normalizes premature death due to a condition called disability and does not impose the legal standard of reasonable foreseeability of death. It is critically important to identify that distinction. Failing to do so would be a failure to guarantee full and equal citizenship to the over 6 million Canadians who are living with disabilities. It would tell everyone with a disability that your life is expendable, and that would be an unintended consequence of the greatest proportion.